Shalom, this is Reb Yoseph coming to you from the land of Israel. This week is Parshas Korach, and it deals with a rebellion led by a man by the name of Korach. Now, the story is that Korach was basically piqued because he was passed over for a position that he felt he was entitled to. And as a result of that, he decided that he was going to completely rebel against Moshe and Aharon. And basically he certainly wanted to be high priest. He wanted Aaron's position. It looks like he wanted to depose Moshe as well, perhaps even more so. The idea is the idea of Machlokes, bitter division, argument. It's not an argument for the sake of heaven, where people are searching for the truth. Rather, what it means is that it's really what it is one person is trying to take a position that he is not qualified for and is not rightfully is, and take it from the person who is the legitimate holder of the position. The critical aspect is that the person who is the Baal Machlokes really is not the proper person for the position that he is contesting. That's the key thing. It's that how does someone who shouldn't have a job go about trying to get the job that he is not qualified for and not entitled for? That is the basic story. So the first thing that Korach does is he teams up with Dasan Va'aviram. Now, they are also two unsavory characters in the Chumash, and their basic approach to life is that they are malcontents and troublemakers. So he is teaming up with people who are always looking for an opportunity to attack Moshe and get into a fight. Those are his first allies. He then attracts a band of 250 people who are basically notables. They're scholars and they hold positions of responsibility within the community. And they go with Korach and in his rebellion. Now the question is, why would these people do this? And the reason is that they are ambitious like Korach, and they are also seeking to be the leader, but they don't see much of a chance of deposing Moshe because he's the one who's supposed to be the leader. The idea is that if Korach should succeed, okay, then the position is up for grabs. Now, most likely Korach is the one who will get it. However, what it means is because he is also not qualified, although they may be less qualified, he's still unqualified for the position. They may be able to topple him and get the position themselves. Okay, he will be easier to get rid of than Moshe. That's the basic psychology that is drawing them. In addition to that, they can hide behind Korach a bit. He's the point man. So he's the one taking what would seem to be all of the risks. So if he succeeds, great. If not, well, you just blame it on him. That's the idea. So what he does is, there's a number of discussions about precisely how he starts the Machlokes. The account in Rashi is illustrative. I'll also go into what he says in the Chumash as well. What he does is he plays halachic politics, basically. He gets his group of people to stand in Moshe wearing basically blue cloaks. A talis, a prayer shawl, is a cloak. What it has on the corner is tzitzit, strings, basically. The strings are actually a mitzvah doraisa, a command from the Torah. And what the Torah says is that you are supposed to see these strings and they will remind you to keep the mitzvahs. The idea is that because you have these strings that are somewhat out of place and noticeable, you're going to see them and you'll say, what are these things supposed to be reminding me of? And then you'll remember what they're supposed to be reminding you of, that there's a God in heaven, he has a Torah, there's mitzvahs we have to live according to his will. That's the basic idea. Now, part of the mitzvah of tzitzis is one of these strings is supposed to be blue, ideally. Okay? So what Korach is saying, you have to use a bit of sophistry involved with that, is that if you're wearing a blue garment that has a lot of blue threads, how can one blue thread, which will permit a garment that has no blue threads, okay, if one string will permit a garment that has no blue threads, certainly a garment that has many blue threads would be permissible in and of itself without the strings. The trick is that you're ignoring the fact that if it doesn't have the strings on it, it's not going to remind you of anything regardless of the color. The idea is to use some sort of spurious issue and ignore what is the essential meaning of the mitzvah. This is how Machlokes often works. Okay, and it has to be a significant error that a conscientious leader cannot concede or ignore. He has to take a stand on it, and he has to disagree, at which point you have an argument. Okay, and you scream and yell and rally your side and say why he's all sorts of wrong. Okay, what happens is that Korach and his band basically laugh at Moshe and give their explanation. Okay? The idea of laughing at Moshe is very important, because what you're going to do is, in a machlokes, is you want to laugh at the side that's in the right. Okay? You don't want to have an argument and appeals to reason and present evidence and rationales and that type of thing, because what will happen is that it will show that you're wrong. Okay? What you want it to be based on is screaming and yelling. And the side that screams the loudest is the winner. That's the basic approach. What happens in what the Chumash describes is that Korach says Rav Lechem, he says, you've taken too much. The idea is, he says that all of the children of Israel are holy. Why are you setting yourself up as a dictator? Okay? the idea in that is that Moshe Rabbeinu really did not want to be accept the position of, shall we say, being president. However, he was compelled to do it by God. So he's placed in the unpleasant and somewhat embarrassing position of having to justify the authority he has given, which he doesn't really want, even though God has told him that he has to do the job. That's the basic thing. Okay? So what you want to do if you're running a Machlokes is try to play on the personal embarrassments of your opponent. Okay? In the case of Dasan and Aviram, what happens when Moshe wants to discuss it with them is they use extremely inflammatory rhetoric. What they say is that we're not going to let you gouge out the eyes of the people here. Okay, obviously very strong and coarse language, as opposed to accusing someone of being deceptive and surreptitious. The idea is to use very inflammatory rhetoric. In addition to that, what they say is it's bad enough that you took us out of a land of milk and honey to bring us into the desert where you want to kill us. Because they're mocking and taunting Moshe, who has brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, okay, to better their lives. And the expression that is frequently used is he is bringing them to a land of milk and honey. So Datsan and Aviram say, you have taken us out of a land of milk and honey and brought us to this miserable place. That's the idea, is to mock him and taunt him using his own words. Okay? In the end, it does not work out for Dasan Aviram and Korach and his whole group. What happens is this is the Gemara in Sanhedrin talks about it. It tells a story. It starts with the quotation from the Chumash where Moshe says concerning them in his prayer to God that if the earth, if there's a new creation and the earth opens its mouth up and swallows these people and they go down to Sha'ul, Gehenna, hell, alive, okay, then it's a proof that God has indeed sent them. So if you die a normal death, then they're correct. And what happens is the earth swallows them up. Okay? And all of them are drawn into this crevice. The Gemara talks about that. It brings that quote. And what it says is that the Gehenna was, if it wasn't created already, this was the time that it was created. Then it brings a story by Rabbi Bar Chana, who says that he was traveling and he came across a caravan driver who said, I'll come and I'll show you the place where Korach and his gang were swallowed up. So they go to a place and there's cracks in the earth and smoke is coming out. And what he does is he takes a piece of cloth and he wets it and he puts it on the end of his spear and he puts it into one of these crevices and it comes out singed. And then they listen closely, and what do they hear? Korach and his band. right? Says that, and what are they saying? Moshe and his Torah is true, and we are frauds. And the camel driver, the caravan driver, says every 30 days they get churned up there, and they say the same thing. Moshe and his Torah is true, and that they are frauds. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.